Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Book. And what's going to go in the Whiskey Book or not in the book as the most disappointing or worst whiskey of 2023 for me? Now, criteria for this, it has to be something I have. This isn't anything I've heard about. This isn't anything that's on the interwebs or anything. This is my own experience. This is my own flavors. If there's something here you like, more power to you. This just didn't hit me the right way. So without further ado, I got my new setup here. Can't wait to try this out for the new year. And this one's a little different. This is going to be backwards if I can keep this straight. The winner is going to be actually the first loser. So the worst whiskey is going to be podium number one. Let's see if we can do this. All right, let's start off with, my wife poured these glasses that are in front of me. What's in these? Okay, everybody, I've got a new setup here. My mic went dead. I neglected to figure out the power before the last video. So what I'm going to do right now is run down what whiskeys are in this worst of most disappointing of the year. Hey, this is the last video of the year. You're going to see this on the first day of the new year. So woo, but these were my most disappointing of 2023, and hopefully we bring in the new year with something good. So what do we have? First off, we have Mythology Bourbon out of Colorado. This is 88 proof bourbon. Bottle looked really cool. Has a half dog, half man. Says Mythology. I like the style of the bottle, so I got it. Wasn't super thrilled with it. And just for the price, and I'm trying to remember what I paid. It was between 45 and 60, somewhere in there. I think it was 48, something like that. Whatever it was, just didn't hold up. Wasn't worth it. Wasn't awful. Didn't love it. Second one I have, Yellowstone 93. Yellowstone 93 may hurt some people's feelings. Not a huge fan of it. Just didn't get much out of it. It was actually in a blind and did the worst, I believe, or second worst in that blind, and just didn't love it. Third one I have, let me say, I said 93 proof, and this is the 93 proof one. And I'm going to go into a bottle next that I don't like the low proof one, but I absolutely love their barrel strength one. And maybe Yellowstone's the same way. I haven't had anything better than the 93 proof, so boom, that's where it sits. This is the one, Traverse City Whiskey Company, 43%, which is the 86 proof. You're kind of seeing a theme here. We're all around 90 proof on these low proof stuff. But there's a lot of low proof things I like, just not these ones. But the Traverse City Whiskey Company, I absolutely just love their barrel proof. It was in my best of 2023. The low proof is in my worst of or most disappointing. And I picked it up. I had high expectations, and my initial flavor tastings, I got some funk on it and just some weird flavors. It was okay, but really, really high on my most disappointing, no matter how it does in this blind, is the Black Maple Hill Bourbon out of Oregon. Let's see, I'm trying to remember, 95 proof, again, low proof. I expected some good things. This was close to $70 and didn't do anything for me. In fact, it had an off-putting flavor. The first three weren't hateful. They just didn't, for the money or whatever, they just didn't bring anything to the table for me. That one was off-putting. Which brings me to the last one. And again, none of these, I say again, I don't think I said it before. I'm not getting age statements on any of these. And we'll talk about the notes here in a minute that I don't think any of them have any particular age on them, including the Knob Creek Smoked Maple. Holy cow, probably the worst whiskey I've ever drank from a reputable or a known distiller. I shouldn't say reputable, I should say known, because I've got a couple dishonorable mentions coming up here. And one of those is out of Montana, and I really wanted to like it, but whatever. But anyway, the Knob Creek Smoked Maple, absolutely awful. It's like it's flavored whiskey, like a screwball or something, but just so sweet. It's like absolute concentrate. Yuck, gross. I don't like it. Those 5 were going to be in the blind, and I did the blind. The audio just didn't record, so I will give you the notes on those, and then we'll just jump right into the podium on how it went. You don't get to see me drinking them today. I'm not going to do it again. Just not going to redo that. I have one glass in front of me. This is a Russell's Reserve single barrel, showing that I don't hate low proof. I just don't like these. My honorable mentions. Well, let's go to the Montana one. Really wanted to like this. Ghost Wood Barrel Proof, and this is the first one here that's not low proof. Love the looks of that bottle. Love that it's from Montana, my home state. Didn't like the juice inside. I'm sorry, just didn't need something. It was a bad funk to it. It didn't taste like bourbon to me. Tastes like it wanted to be something else, or tried to be something else, or just trying to be bourbon and it is something else. Which leads me into my other dishonorable mention, McCarthy's Oregon today, single malt whiskey. I'm trying to do scotches. There's some I like, don't like the peated stuff. I kind of like smoke, not the peated. I don't like the stuff that tastes like dried leaves or wet leaves and dirt. McCarthy's whiskey didn't hit any of the things that I like in my palate. So these are the 7 most disappointing I've had in 2023. And I did the blind taste. My wife laid out all the glasses. I did them. I went back and forth, spent a lot of time doing that. I'm not going to do that again. And I'll tell you why. So my A that I had, my first one, was just so super duper sweet. The finish was tangy. The palate was concentrated, just as I described it as the old, used to get and I'm going to date myself a little bit with how we used to drink juice, is you'd get these little canisters of juice that was just all concentrate. You had to break them open, put them in a pitcher, put 3 cups of water in there, and then you'd spend 10 minutes stirring that. And this tasted like you didn't put any water in it. It was just too sweet. B was light hay, very light, and you're going to get a theme here. There were 3 that are very similar, and I kind of expected this because I've have a hard time discerning between the 3. They're just all very light hay, dusty hay, lemon drops, a little honey, a little vanilla. B was like that, but the finish hit me with coffee grounds. It gave me something a little more interesting. It was a little bit different, but the coffee grounds weren't great. It was like bitter coffee grounds. And we moved to C. C was super light. Like, I couldn't get hardly anything on it, on the nose. Had a decent honey vanilla flavor to it. It was really light. It wasn't off-putting at all. It wasn't gross. It was just so light. And then the finish just was there and it was gone. It just disappeared. I had a hard time with that one because I kept tasting. The first one I had this really concentrated maple that just overwhelmed C even at the third. And I was drinking water in between and doing that. So it just wasn't powerful enough for what I like, for spending any amount of money, really. Although, if you're new to bourbon, C might not be a bad place to start. It's very, very easy, very light, just really good light flavors. D, same thing. It was actually even a little bit lighter, super light. I couldn't get anything on the nose initially. But then on the palate, it kind of gave me a little more butter, vanilla, honey, like a little more creaminess and that's one of my favorite things on the palate, is to get some viscosity, some oil, some buttercream. And this was the best finish of the group. It had a vanilla that kept going. That was kind of a one-trick pony, but hey, the butter vanilla, I'll take it. It wasn't terrible. And then we went to E. It was the most interesting. Everybody else was like one hit, or you get one flavor, and it might have been okay, but you got one. This one was the most interesting. I wouldn't say the best. Slight mango. It's the only one I got fruit on. very pleasant fruitiness, but very, very weak. Finish was super, super short. And it just wasn't, you got a little honey, little vanilla, little mango. And so that was, I wrote them down for you. Those were my tasting notes for A through E, because again, I don't want to do that again. Again, these are my most disappointing. I'm sorry that the audio went out and we have to do a cut in, but hey, I didn't want to do this again and, you know, have a different final, because it is what it is. These were the most disappointing, and how it turned out was basically how I kind of thought it would. And there are 3 of them on here that any given day I probably couldn't tell them apart. I couldn't tell them apart in the blind. They were just okay, very, very light flavors. And then there were 2 that had something in them that just no thanks. And one in particular, yeah, you'll see in the podium. Anyway, thanks for continuing to watch. Please hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you next time after the podium. Don't forget to watch the podium that comes up next. It's pretty cool. All right, bye. Okay, folks, I'm back with the Whiskey Book Style Podium. Third place today, we've got The Complete Poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. Really short book, that's why it's in third. Second place, I've used it before, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Needs no introduction. That is second place. And first place, got to show you this one. Sierra 6, get my fingers out of the way, by Mark Greaney. Best spy or assassin series ever. Netflix tried to do an adaptation of that series. It was okay, but it didn't follow the book at all. Books are amazing. My best thriller series ever. Okay, without further ado, last place, which was actually the best bourbon, the best thing I drank out of these 5, is D. What is actually something that I might drink again, and that is the Mythology, which is pretty cool because I think that's one of the most expensive up here. It's one of the neatest looking. It just doesn't hit hard enough to justify the price, justify the cool bottle and the looks, but hey, it's not awful. And if you're just getting into bourbon, give that one a try. It's really light and it's got just kind of some easy drinking flavors to it. Okay, second to last, which is actually the second best bourbon, we have, wow, this is actually a little bit of a surprise, but with this lineup, it doesn't really matter. Yellowstone, 93 proof. So no surprise there. I think I've had that in 2 other blinds, and the Mythology and Yellowstone, I have a heck of a time telling those 2 apart. There's just slight note differences. Mythology is a touch stronger, and I mean a tick sweeter, and that's about it. So those were the 2 best. So if you like Yellowstone, don't feel too bad. It made this list, but hey, I can see why you might like it. Okay, third place, which is the third best whiskey, is E. What is E? E. Traverse City Whiskey Company, 86 proof, straight bourbon whiskey. Let's see, what was I getting the funk on that one? No, I wasn't, which is kind of odd. I had a guess that it was a different one. It wasn't. All right, so you could call it the second best, but this is the second worst whiskey. This isn't actually a shocker at all that these 2 are the 2 worst. And it is the Black Maple Hill straight bourbon whiskey out of Oregon. Man, we got a theme here. We've got Oregon, we've got Colorado. Where the heck was Yellowstone whiskey out of? That was, oh yeah, Lebanon, Kentucky. I mean, come on now, Lebanon. So I think I'm coming down to it. I just like Kentucky whiskey. But last place doesn't surprise me. I knew this one as soon as I had it. Knob Creek Smoked Maple. Don't buy it. It's awful. It's the only thing I can really compare it to is Screwball, like the peanut butter flavored whiskey. But that was even better. This is like a flavored whiskey, and it's just bloody awful. It's so sweet. It just dominates the senses, but it's not in a good way. It's not like a candy bar. It's not like maple syrup. It's just concentrate. It's like maple concentrate, just poured all over your mouth, and it's gross. So I could actually throw this, like cut it in half, put some real bourbon in there, and put it in a barrel for another few years or something. I don't know. When I think I said this was 9 year, it is not 9 year. Thank goodness. I'm so used to seeing the Knob Creek 9 year on these bottles. This is not age stated. Thank goodness. Glad they didn't waste time on that. Anyway, most disappointing whiskey of the year, Knob Creek Smoked Maple. Don't buy it. Very expensive too. This one also very expensive. I wouldn't buy it. You want to try it, go ahead. The other three, hey, if you're just getting into it for the prices they are, I wouldn't blame you if you tried them. Anyway, thanks for watching Whiskey Book. I will see you next time, and hope you had wonderful holidays. Bye.